The alien palace was quiet, almost eerily so. Light from the twin moons glinted off the polished surfaces of the hall, reflecting 1,000 shards of silver across the walls. Every footstep of the approaching human soldier echoed in the vast chamber, and the alien princess, sitting upon her elevated throne, could feel the tension coiling in her chest like a live wire. Her kind had encountered humans before, of course, but none had ever carried themselves with such an unsettling confidence. She adjusted the folds of her ceremonial robe, a ritual she performed whenever she faced someone of great significance or great threat. The human approached with a slow, deliberate stride, his armor gleaming, battle-worn but still pristine in its design. It was not the uniform of a diplomat, nor the casual attire of a traveler. This man was a warrior, and that warrior energy radiated from him in a way that made even the most seasoned guards shift uneasily. The princess forced herself to breathe, to maintain the calm facade that had always served her in political dealings. "State your purpose," she said, her voice steady but betraying the faintest hint of curiosity. The human paused at the threshold of her dais, his piercing gaze sweeping the chamber. There was a quiet authority about him, not arrogant, but firm. "I've come to negotiate," he said simply. "Negotiate?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. Aliens rarely negotiated with humans. They either treated them as primitive nuisances or dangerous anomalies. Yet here he was, standing in her hall as if he belonged. The very audacity of it sent a ripple of unease through her. "Negotiate," she repeated, as if tasting the word. "Humans have no jurisdiction here, no power to influence our realms." The human shook his head, almost imperceptibly, yet there was an undeniable firmness in the gesture. "You'll see otherwise." Her guards tensed, claws scraping the marble floors, but the princess raised a hand. She wanted to see this human fully before ordering him removed. There was something different about him, something that set him apart from the usual brash humans she had read about in historical records or witnessed from afar. The human's voice softened slightly, almost as if he was speaking to a child, yet there was an undercurrent of steel. "I am not here to fight, unless that is what you expect. But understand this Psy will not leave without my mission accomplished." The princess studied him. There was bravery in his stance. Yes, but it was more than that. There was an intelligence, a strategy, a humanity that seemed to radiate from him like a subtle aura. Her pulse quickened not with fear, but with the fascination that humans could inspire in her. Humans, with all their limitations, had a way of breaking conventions, of reshaping expectations in ways that even the most disciplined alien minds could not anticipate. She inclined her head, a gesture of both acknowledgement and caution. "Speak your terms," she commanded. The human took a measured step closer, and she could feel the weight of his presence, the aura of someone who had survived countless battles and yet walked into a domain unafraid. "Your world is on the brink," he said. "A threat rises in the outer colonies, one that neither your kind nor mine can face alone. I have come to offer a partnership, a chance to combine our strengths." The princess' mind raced. Partnerships between humans and her species were unheard of. The political implications alone could ignite a war, and yet, the clarity in his words, the way he spoke without hesitation, was compelling. He did not beg, he did not plead, he simply stated a reality that could not be ignored. "Why should we trust a human soldier?" she asked, though the question felt almost ceremonial. She already knew the answer would matter little. It was his actions, his presence, that commanded attention. The human's gaze did not waver, because trust is earned in action, not in words. "I am willing to show you, here and now, the value of standing together." A low hum filled the chamber, signaling the presence of her personal guards, elite warriors who were ready to act at a moment's notice. The princess raised her hand again, silencing them. She wanted to test him, yes, but she also wanted to understand the human resolve she had only glimpsed in history records. "Then prove it," she said finally, a challenge embedded in her tone. The human nodded, understanding the gravity of the moment. With a swift motion, he activated a small device on his wrist, projecting a three-dimensional map of the outer colonies into the air above them. Holographic lines traced the routes of enemy ships, the colonies under threat, and the limited defenses in place. "This is what we face," he explained, "and these are the options we have. Alone, your forces will struggle. Alone, my forces will be decimated. But together," he let the pause linger, allowing the implication to settle. The princess leaned forward, studying the projection with a keen mind. The strategy was sound, the calculations precise. It was clear that he had prepared meticulously, yet there was a human creativity woven into his approach, a willingness to adapt, to think beyond the rigid doctrines of her species. "Impressive," she admitted quietly, almost to herself, "but humans are fragile." "You are fragile." He smiled faintly, a gesture that was almost unnerving in its calm confidence. "Perhaps, but fragility can be deceptive. The human spirit thrives where others falter. You'll see that in time." The princess felt a strange mix of admiration and unease. She had spent centuries mastering diplomacy, strategy, and control over her people. Yet here was a human, a creature so outwardly ordinary, challenging every expectation she held. There was a lesson in this. one that went beyond strategy or alliances. It was a reminder that the universe was larger, stranger, and more unpredictable than even her extensive knowledge could encompass. She straightened, regaining the composure that was expected of her station. "Very well," she said, voice firm once more. "We will hear your plan in full. But no, this failure is not an option. If you mislead us, the consequences will be severe." The human inclined his head, understanding the stakes. "I do not intend to fail," he replied, and there was no arrogance in his words, only the certainty of one who had faced death countless times and survived. For hours they spoke, strategy intertwined with diplomacy, numbers with intuition, and throughout it all, the alien princess found herself struggling to maintain the formal detachment that had always served her. She noted the human's capacity to remain calm under pressure, to observe and adapt, to inspire confidence without commanding it. There was something profoundly human about the way he carried himself, a quiet strength that transcended physical prowess that, as the sun rose over the twin moons, casting a soft golden light through the palace windows, the princess realized that she had underestimated humans. Her people had underestimated them, not in intellect alone, nor in strength, but in the intangible, unquantifiable force that made them capable of extraordinary acts. When the meeting concluded, the princess stood, signaling the end of the discussion. Her guards relaxed slightly, and yet her gaze remained fixed on the human soldier. "You have proven your point," she said. "Perhaps humans are not as limited as we believed." The human offered a small, respectful nod. "And perhaps aliens are not as inflexible as we thought," he countered, his voice carrying a hint of warmth, almost teasing, yet underpinned by sincerity. The princess allowed herself a brief smile, a rarity in her public demeanor. There was tension in her chest, a flutter of anticipation and curiosity she could not entirely conceal. She had met many dignitaries, many warriors, and many emissaries, yet this human soldier had stirred something unexpected, something that went beyond politics, strategy, or diplomacy. "Then we move forward," she said finally, her voice calm, measured, but carrying an edge of personal acknowledgement. "Together, we face this threat. But remember, every choice has consequences. Do not underestimate the stakes." The human nodded once more, a gesture of agreement, and turned to leave the chamber. But before stepping through the doorway, he paused. "You will not regret this partnership," he said softly, not to her alone, but as if the entire universe could hear. The princess watched him go, her mind racing. She had faced countless crises, commanded fleets, and navigated political minefields that spanned light. Yet something about this encounter lingered in her thoughts, a sense that this human possessed a power that was not easily measured, not easily contained. Outside, the palace corridors stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to history in the making. The princess returned to her throne, hands resting lightly on the armrests, and allowed herself a moment of reflection. She thought of the human's calm courage, his unwavering focus, and the subtle but undeniable spark of defiance and creativity that defined him for the first time in her life. She considered that humans were not merely a species to be tolerated or studied. They were, in their own unpredictable way, extraordinary, and the thought unsettled her just as much as it fascinated her. The alien princess, poised, composed, yet quietly unsettled, understood that the future had shifted in ways she could not yet fully grasp. The human soldier had entered her hall as a stranger, but he left as a presence she could not ignore. And in the quiet of the palace, under the soft light of twin moons, she realized something fundamental. Sometimes, strength does not roar, it walks steadily, deliberately, and changes everything simply by being.